Alright everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's the day. After years of gaming on consoles and using Macs for everything else, I'm finally diving into the world of PC gaming. Now, I've assembled these components after doing a decent amount of research. Could have always done more, but that could go on forever. So I finally settled on these components to build a modern gaming rig. Not high-end at all, probably medium-low end when a lot of gaming PC guys see this, but it's enough to do the type of gaming I want to do, which isn't going to be a bunch of AAA games. So I feel this is sufficient, and I also incorporated some components that allow me to upgrade it, and it makes it upgradable for the future in case I really get into this. Alright, let's start with the GPU. We got the FFX Swift 210 RX 6650 XT, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Should do what I need it to do. I'm not playing any AAA games. I can always upgrade in the future. Got a decent deal on this one. Next, I have the Be Quiet Pure Power 12M 750 watt. I spent a little bit more on this because when I was reviewing these power supplies, I saw a lot of them had complaints about whining, and that would be really annoying to me. So I wanted to make sure I found something that wasn't going to have that problem and had a good reputation, and I had a hard time finding anything negative really in reviews about these. People had a lot of good things to say about Be Quiet, and it is their name, so we'll see how that does. Next, for a motherboard, I got the MSI Mag B550 Max Wi-Fi. As far as I've learned about motherboards, you do not need to spend a lot of money. You don't want to get something cheap, but you don't need to spend $300-400 on a motherboard. They're all pretty much doing the same thing, unless you're going, a really super powerful computer, but for a mid to low end gaming computer, more than enough. Next, for CPU, I went with the RYZEN AMD 5600X. I got this for, I think it was 120 Canadian on Alibaba, which I was a little hesitant to do, but after reading a lot of reviews and doing some research online, people really haven't had any problems with these, no more than buying them directly from AMD or Ryzen. So that was a really good deal. Saved me about 60%. Next, we have the Samsung 990 EVO 1 terabyte SSD. Next, for RAM, T-Force. There you go. T-Force DDR4 Delta RGB Gaming 2 8 gig sticks. Should be enough for now. Probably go to 32 in the future, or 2 16 gig sticks. Has RGB lighting. I got RGB lighting in those for a reason. I'll explain when I discuss the case I bought. Next, for the CPU, I got ARTIC Freezer 36A RGB black. As far as these coolers, you don't have to spend a lot on them. This is more than enough to cool that 5600X. This thing apparently does not run that hot. RGB lighting, again, having to do with this case I bought, which I'll explain in a second. Asian horse, extension cable kit. Pretty simple, just to have a cleaner look inside the case. For a gaming mouse, I went with the LOGITECH G703. It is a mid-range gaming mouse. I'm going to be using a joystick for a lot of games, but I did want a half-decent mouse when I do, dive into learning how to play games with the mouse and the keyboard, which should be interesting. Next, for keyboard, I did have a Logitech keyboard that I bought, but I ended up sending that back because this came up on sale for 40%-ish off, and it was a really good deal, and it was twice as good as the Logitech one I did buy. That was a more lower end Logitech keyboard, so this one had good reviews and it was a good deal, so I couldn't pass up on it. Next, we have the ANTEC FLUC mid-tower case. I spent about twice as much as I needed to for a case. You can get a decent case for around $100 that will do just as good of a job. ANTEC has a good reputation though, and when I saw the case, aesthetically I just liked it. It just looked really good to me, so for the price, it has a really high-end look, which I like. No RGB lighting, 3 fans in the front, 1 at the bottom, 1 exhaust fan at the back, and I got this cooler with RGB lighting, and of course my RAM sticks with RGB lighting, so that should give me enough light to light up my components inside and give a moderate, not in your face look, but I should be able to see, it should be aesthetically pleasing. I guess we'll see once everything's together. Okay, that's everything for this build. There'll be links to all the components in the description below. If you're thinking about building a PC for the first time and you're coming from Macs, or just coming from PCs, but you want to build, you've always bought pre-builts and you just want to build one, hopefully this video helps out a bit. I've watched quite a few build tutorials. Everything seems pretty straightforward. I don't think it'll be too difficult, but you never know, fingers crossed. There's always that dreaded moment when you go to power the thing up and nothing happens. So knock on wood. I'll have a part 2 video when I unbox everything and I do the build. So follow along with me, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.